where do the Leafs go from here? How do they possibly improve this team moving forward? Because when you think about it, honestly, it's a lot more difficult than people realize, especially with those 4 big contracts that take up a massive part of the salary cap. The Leafs have become a team that has had to find cheaper contracts, guys to slot into their bottom 6 in non-primary roles on this team. And listen, I know Freddie Anderson is coming off the books. There's going to be some other, like Zach Hyman's a free agent, Spezza, Thornton, Wayne Simmons, all these guys, right? Like there's money that is going to be freed up, but there's not going to be a lot of flexibility unless they move out one of these big 4 forwards. And you would think Austin Matthews isn't going anywhere. John Tavares has a full no trade clause.
And he's the captain.
And he's the captain. He's not going anywhere. William Nylander, his contract is looking pretty damn good right now.
Yeah.
Considering how well he played in that series. And a lot of people are pointing to Mitch Marner saying, well, if you're going to do anything, if you're going to open up any sort of flexibility, it's Marner who needs to go, which you talked about earlier in the show. You got into the whole Marner conversation. But Lepore, man, where does this team go from here to improve?
It seems like every Leafs offseason is interesting, but this offseason is going to be very interesting. Actually, just got a tweet. The players are doing their closing interviews today, and Jason Spezza has already said he'd like to re-sign with the Leafs. So good news in Leafland for that one. I think everyone wants that one back. I don't know. I think if I just say right now, I don't think, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to flip out at this one just based on the heat in everyone's blood right now, but I don't think Mitch Marner is going to be traded. Like, I just think it's too big of a thing, like, for them to do it at this point. It's still a weird year. It's a weird series. Like, people are forgetting, like, the circumstances of, like, COVID. Like, I don't think a lot of teams are going to be making a lot of big moves. But like the lineup could be quite different. Like, assuming they do sign Spezza, Thornton's gone. Simmons is gone. I think we'd like to have Bogosian back, but who knows what happens there. You have the whole thing with Seattle, the draft. So those lists are going to come out for every team on who's available and who should and will be taken. Then we'll see who is taken. I'd like to assume, I think all Leafs fans are assuming that Rasmus Sandin is going to be in the lineup next year. Dermott, to that point, is a lot of people have circled as the guy who the Kraken are going to take. We'll see if Liljegren makes the next step. I mean, to me anyway, it's now or never for that kid. Like, if he's not even in the lineup, if he's not in the lineup by the start of next season, we're done here.
Yeah,
like
we've reached the point of him being like this young, up and coming, developing defenseman. Like, at some point, we have to see him play NHL games.
Yeah,
and can he do it or can he not?
Yeah, so we'll see with that one. I don't know. Like, that Brooks, I'd like to see him in the lineup, but the big splash would be, because Marner, we'd see if they make a crazy trade and what they do with that money. The thing is, like, this team is not going to, with whatever they do, they're not going to stray away from like a quote unquote win now mode. So if, again, of the big 4, like you mentioned, the only one that would even sort of make sense is Marner to be traded. So that would be the one. Like, are they doing it for a player and, say, picks and prospects? Because going into this draft, I think the Leafs have like 3 picks.
Yeah, they only have 3 draft picks.
Yeah, so maybe they get some picks out of it and then a body, and then they fill that money in free agency. Like, people are already like circling Seth Jones, but I mean, like, whatever. Like, that's Leafs writers who want clicks and whatever. Like, I'm not even thinking about that right now. The lineup too, and I know people are so emotional right now, and they're allowed to be. Like, this team just got embarrassed. This is the most embarrassing moment for the Leafs in my life anyway. Like I told my wife, the feeling I have right now is I'm in a relationship and I want to break up with this girl, and I'm just somehow not allowed. Like there's something holding me back that like I can't
That's
break
perfect.
up. Like, if I could break up with the Toronto Maple Leafs, I could, but I can't because of the emotional investment I've put in this team over my entire life. Like, there's no coming back now. But like, this is embarrassing. So this team, the direction is going to be super interesting they take in this offseason. But at the end of the day, if nothing major is done, this is still, I know people are already I can already see people flipping out of this. They're still a really good team. Like, this is a really good team. And I find what happens differently with the Leafs compared to other teams, and I expect, because everyone likes to shit on the Leafs, is they point to like these quote unquote problems, like with the Leafs salary cap situation, or like how their team is built. And they'll point to like the most ideal situation of another team. And it's like, well, you can't do that. It's like you can't point to like, well, so-and-so has so-and-so at an amazing contract. It's like, well, at the time, when they signed him, it wasn't an amazing
it's like,
contract.
what do you want them to restructure Matthews' contract?
Yeah.
Like, Matthews, you're now making $7.5 million, so we can perfectly allocate the rest of this money somewhere else. Right?
Yeah, I actually say, like, to me, if we, and now we're getting way ahead of ourselves here, and like Leafs fans like to do this, if this group is not successful, and by successful, I mean like able to make like playoff runs and this and that, what I will point to that I think doesn't get spoken about enough is the problem the Leafs faced that I think the other strong teams in the league did not face, is our young studs got too good too early. Like, Matthew scored 40 goals as a rookie. So what do? Like, God forbid, it's like if Austin Matthews was the exact same player he was today, but say he, even as a rookie, as a 19-year-old, had he scored like 25, that would have been amazing. Like, say he scored 25 and then 30 and then 32. And then he's at the negotiating table. No, he had to score 40 as a rookie. And then how to work? I think he's actually scored 40 all 3 years of his.
Yeah, because he missed, there was
he missed
some
games
seasons where he missed like 10, 15 games. And he's essentially, he's like right there. He has the most even strength goals since the second he entered the NHL.
Yeah.
He leads the NHL in goals per game since he entered the league. So he's essentially the best goal scorer in the world at this point. And it's like you said, right? He didn't like slowly progress. Lepore, from the minute this kid stepped in the league, he was essentially like a top 5 scorer on the planet.
Like I've told people here in Ottawa, I mean, like, they love Stützle and they have the right to love Stützle. He's a great player. I'm like, guys, think about it. As much as you love this kid and he's amazing and fun to watch, when Austin Matthews was that age, it'd be like Stützle. Imagine like this reaction of fans or like the hype around this kid if he scored 40.
Oh,
like, what? Like now it almost seems like so crazy that we had this rookie 19 was scoring 40 goals, and then to the point of how this kept going, Marner second year was like 94 points.
Yeah, it was like his third year in the league. I believe he had 94 points.
Yeah, so it's like, well, what
led
like,
the team in scoring basically every year.
Yeah, like what do you pay him? Like, I mean, argue all day, 11 million, 10 million, 9 million, but at the end of the day, he was going to get paid. Like, he was going to be given elite money because he was showing that he was an elite player. But I don't know. Like I don't think there's any major moves. Like, I really don't. I think you're going to see a lot of small changes. Like I said, I hope Spets is back. I hope Bogosian's back. We'll see what Robertson can do. We'll see what Sandin can do. Other kids from the Marlies I'd like to see more of. Who knows? Like, the Leafs like to sign European free agents. We'll see if something along those lines happen. I guess the big thing will be Freddie, right? Like, I think right now everyone's just assuming that Freddie's gone and Hyman is going to make up that money. So, and then whoever gets inserted as a backup or sort of like a two-headed monster, that could be something. Like, if the Leafs kind of go into next year with a different approach and they have a two-headed monster. But I mean, at the end of the day, whatever they do, I mean, they'll be criticized for it. And if Marner is not traded, it'll be criticized. And who knows, maybe next year we're in the exact same spot and the Leafs are out in the first round. And our good friend Julian Barbosa is smashing his laptop again, watching from England. Shout out to Julian Barbosa.
Shout out Julian.
Yeah. I was fearing for his laptop as we were watching Game 7, and he's in England watching.
Not only is he a Leaf fan, he's an Atlanta Falcons fan. So there's some dark times for Julian Barbosa following those two teams, man.
Yeah. So it'll be an interesting offseason. And like you said, we'll have more sleeps and maybe we'll dive deeper into it in the next episode.
Yeah, no, Lepore, it's like you said, I don't see, a major trade happening. I really don't. I know a lot of people are quick to jump the gun and they're saying Marner has to get traded. This is the only thing that has to happen because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So one of these guys has to get traded. And listen, I hear you, everyone who's saying that, because, you know, it's now been 5 years that we're into the Matthews and Marner era, and this core has failed to win one playoff series. That's unacceptable. Yeah. You know, especially considering how they all burst onto the scene. Like Lepore said, Matthews comes in as a 19-year-old rookie and scores 40 goals. Marner with a 94-point season in his third season in the league. I believe Marner's like top 5 or 6 in points per game over the last 3 years in the NHL. Like,
was it his second or third season he put up 90-something points?
It was his third season. He had 94.
Oh my God. So he went to the negotiating table.
He had 67 and 59 and 67 and 55.
So he went to the negotiating table after a 94-point season.
Yeah.
Like shit.
Like it's so like I hear the frustrations from everybody who want a big trade to happen. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, like Kyle Dubas, I still think he does believe in the core that he's put together. And obviously they have proven that right now, they can't perform in the playoffs. You know, specifically Mitch Marner, who, like I said, has 0 goals in his last 18 playoff games. That quite frankly is unacceptable. But for those, saying that, you know, the Leafs should trade Marner to Buffalo, Marner and a pick to Buffalo for Jack Eichel.
That's the
one. If I'm Buffalo, are you kidding me? Jack Eichel's like a top 10 player. When Jack Eichel's at his best, he is a top 10 player in this league. He is a 6'2" centerman, over 200 pounds, who skates like the wind and can do everything. And you think Buffalo's just going to get rid of Jack Eichel? Like, come on, everybody.
Yeah, but if you're Buffalo, and like we're going out of left field there. But if you're Buffalo and Eichel wants out, I mean, you're not going to win that. Like, you're not going to win that trade.
Yeah.
So if you get Marner, I mean,
you make a good point. Like, right? Jack Eichel, I mean, it's gone to the point now with Buffalo that it seems like he wants to get the hell out of there.
He's gone. Oh,
because it's been a nightmare. So maybe to appease him, and if he is really, really forcing his hand there and says, listen, you better make a damn trade for me because I'm never playing another game for this organization ever again. Maybe that gives the Leafs more leverage in a situation like that. But when I just compare the two players, you know, and also Eichel being a centerman. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, I'm taking Jack Eichel.
Are you really? So that easily? And I'm not saying no, but that easily you take that deal.
I'm big on Jack Eichel, man. Yeah. And I think
you move Tavares to the wing maybe too. Like,
oh yeah, you bring in.
Look at us, Leafs. This is the most Leafs fan thing ever. Like,
all these idiot Leaf fans think that they're gonna get Jack Eichel and blah blah blah. Yeah, no, I know. I hear.
It's so funny. It's so funny because like Eichel. I've always said, like, sometimes people are just victims of like kind of like the natural look they have on their face or their body language. Like, you get this thing from Michael, like, and argue not, like, there's been some bad moments for the kid, but I feel like the whole American thing, his body language, like, he had a bad rap as soon as he came in the league, and maybe it was a little unfair, and people can judge that all day long because there has been some moments where his ego's really come out. But if Jack Eichel was wearing a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey, hands down, most hated player in the league. Like, hands down, the most attacked. Oh, ego, what an asshole, arrogant. Like, oh my God, it would just come raining. It'd be hilarious, man. I don't know if I can think of a better example.
Oh, Lepore, can you imagine a 1-2 punch at center? Austin Matthews.
This is so Toronto Maple. And then we get McDavid and Gretzky and...
Yeah, get McDavid and that $12.5 million cap hit. I'm sure the Leafs can fit him under their salary.
Yeah,
we'll
do another. They'll retain salary. And we can do this, and
oh man, we'll give that is so Toronto Maple Leafs fan. It's not even funny.
Yeah, but fun.
Yeah, no, Lepore. It's going to be very interesting. I mean, whether Kyle Dubas decides to stand pat here with the core that he's assembled, or whether he actually does decide to pull the trigger and pull a Masai Ujiri and trade DeMar DeRozan and try to get a Kawhi Leonard, right?
It's funny how that's come up. And now we're going like everywhere, but everyone's like, oh, like, look what the Raptors did. Okay, number one, Marner is a better hockey player, I think, than DeRozan is basketball player. Like, if we did like player power rankings in the NBA and the NHL, I think Marner is a better player, number one. And they got Kawhi Leonard in return. like what's the equivalent? Like Kawhi Leonard's like top 5 player in the league, maybe. Like if we're gonna get a top 5 player in return, yeah, like that's a no brainer. Like people are making it like, oh, like even when that deal was made, like Ujiri, we're talking about this now. Like everyone was like, "Oh, Ujiri took this big risk and all that." I'm like, no, he got a better player.
Yeah, he got Kawhi Leonard.
He got Kawhi Leonard. Like I know the
players in the world.
I know the term was less, so like he made that trade of like, yeah, I have term on DeRozan and I'm trading it for 1 year of Kawhi and I'm going for it. But really, like you knew you weren't winning with DeRozan. At least I have a one-time shot. Like to me, that trade was a no-brainer for the Raptors. But anyway. Raptors fans, comment below. We'll get some Raptors subscribers.
Love it. But yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of different directions the Leafs could go. I mean, I just kind of see them, fixing the fringes of the roster, kind of like what they did in the offseason. And again, you could say, like I mentioned, this core has proven that they can't get it done in the playoffs. So you got to trade somebody to mix it up. But I think we have to pay attention to this situation very closely. Because honestly, Leaf fans, I don't want to disappoint you, but there really is a scenario where none of those big 4 forwards get traded. Yeah. And Dubas knows that this is sort of his last shot. And him and Keefe are just going to run it back with this same core and see if they can do it again. As absolutely insane as that sounds to every Leaf fan right now, let's run it back. Next year's our year. We're going to get it done next year. How long have you been hearing that? Oh, my goodness. I mean, it's
expectations and Leaf morale is definitely at an all-time low right now. Like I said on last week's show, and like I'm not kidding, nothing will get me excited now. Like nothing will get me optimistic in that regard. Like my friends are like, "Are you okay?" I'm getting all these texts. I'm like, I'm just numb. Like I guess is what it is, and I will be that way until both the positive things and negative things until I see a second round matchup. So
yeah, we're all numb to the pain at this point, at least.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You know what? If we ever want to change the name of our podcast, Numb to the Pain.
I love it.
Is a good one.
That's our backup title. Awesome. But yeah, like I even said this on Twitter, the Leafs could go 82-0 next season and not give up a single goal all season. And no one would give a shit until they win a playoff series. It's literally gotten to that point. Like nothing else matters. Nothing else matters.
Think of this time. Think of this time next year of going into a first round. Hopefully, if we're there again, who knows? But Leafs make the playoffs, even if they are a high seed, whoever they're playing, low seed. The fear.
Oh, people will be terrified.
Oh, people will be terrified.
Imagine Lepore. Imagine they finish third again, like they did.
And get Boston. Oh my God, it's so gonna happen.
Imagine they have to play like Tampa in the first round.
Oh yeah, it's so
Tampa
gonna
or
happen,
Boston. Yeah. Like every Leaf fan is like, no Leaf fan is gonna pick them to win that series.
No, bet your house. Yeah,
that would be a nightmare scenario. At this point, Leaf fans are hoping that they play like Florida in the first round.
Florida's a pretty good team.
I know, and that's what's crazy. Like Florida's legit, right? So it's like, man, oh man, it's almost like no matter who they play in the playoffs, if they make the playoffs next season, every Leaf fan is going to be absolutely horrified.
Yep.
All right, man.
You signed up for it when you were a kid. Welcome to it, guys. Rest of your life, it's fun.
Exactly.